For a lot of families, it is an exciting time of year and a nerve-wracking time of year. We're just weeks away from graduation season when high schoolers take that next big step in their lives. And like I said, a lot of excitement associated with that, but it can also bring on some real anxiety. So we're talking about that today, and here to talk more about it is Jesus Joe. She is a licensed therapist and the head of clinical operations at BetterHelp. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So, I think that, there's so much to look forward to at this time of year. And I think that a lot of these students and their families are ready to turn that page and start that new chapter. But you see it, you hear about this. This can really be overwhelming as well because it feels like the stakes are so high with a decision like this.
Absolutely. Like you said, stakes can feel really high. It can feel like the decisions I'm making today about this are going to have some kind of permanent consequence for my future. And it makes sense to feel a little bit stressed about that. I think any of us feel a lot of anxiety surrounding decisions that could really affect the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, as a parent, one of the things I might tell my kids would be that, hey, you know what, here's the good news and maybe bad news too. As you go through life, you're going to have a lot of decisions like this that, yeah, they're important and they can affect the rest of your life. But it's good in a way, too, because this is just one of many that you're going to go through like this. What do you tell parents or caretakers or guardians to make sure that they're kind of helping the children to make the decision and deal with the anxiety associated with it while also somehow not putting extra pressure on them, too?
It can be a Herculean challenge to balance your need as a parent to do something helpful because it's so difficult to see your child in distress and giving them space and opportunity to start making decisions for themselves and leading an independent life. So some of the things that I think it's really important for parents to consider is that their own behaviors are being absorbed like a sponge. As a person, are you taking care of yourself in order for your kid to absorb these kinds of self-care practices?
And I think it's interesting what you say in there about, allowing them to be the grown-up that they are becoming now as well. Obviously, you want to steer them, you want to help them make these decisions. They are important decisions. But at the same time, as a parent, you might have your own dream for what your kid needs to be doing next, and it might not line up at all with what their dream is, let's say if they're heading off to university or trade school or whatever they want to do.
Oh, yeah, of course. You're describing, I think, what a lot of us may experience with having children is you can't help but feel like they're an extension of yourself. You want to see them succeed, maybe succeed in something that you were not successful in. But these are individual people now making decisions for themselves and turning into, folks that will hopefully be able to problem solve and self-soothe for themselves in a time that you are no longer available to do that for them. I would avoid demanding perfection from them, whatever perfection even means. Avoiding being rigid about choices and instead walking through choices with them, modeling how to make choices that are both considerate of their entire support system, but what really feels best for them as an individual.
Yeah, and it might not be the path you took as a parent. Like I said, maybe it's trade school, maybe it's university, maybe it's a different university than the one you wanted as a parent. Maybe it's that they go become an entrepreneur. So that flexibility can be tough for parents to do as well. Before we let you go, I want to ask you what tips you would give young people out there, the students who are graduating, as this is weighing on their minds. Maybe they've already made a decision and they've got anxiety just about entering this new phase of life. What do you tell them?
This season immediately following high school is such a milestone in your life and hopefully one of many chapters like you and I have already kind of talked about. And this means that what you decide now will affect your future. But I hope that high school seniors that might have a chance to listen to this messaging understand that this is one of many chapters, that decisions made today can be revisited, recalibrated, your approach to whatever your long-term goals are can change at any given time. So in addition to the stress you're already experiencing of wanting to wrap up your high school in a great way, you don't need to add even more stress to that, thinking that you can't go back and revisit goals, revisit approaches, make different decisions, and change your mind about stuff. It's okay to change your mind. Adults are doing that every day at any given moment. So, make sure you're doing research to choose a school, or if you've already made that choice, looking into how this kind of campus, or if you're not going to school, whatever it is, how is that going to contribute to the life that you want or the life that you already have, versus trying to get yourself into a place to force your behaviors into something that doesn't make sense for you. So, realistic considerations for whatever is next after high school for you. You want to think about your level of ability to handle these things, thinking about realistic considerations like costs that will be incurred in your life, how you're going to pay for that stuff, transportation, like realistic stuff. Also, if you're making a decision about where you go next, things to consider are lifestyle. What's available on campus that's interesting to you outside of school, what's available to you in terms of resources to look into for stuff outside the classroom.
Yeah, there is a lot to consider, and that's why this is the season of stress as we head toward graduation. Hey, Sue-Jo, a licensed therapist and then the head of clinical operations at BetterHelp. Thanks so much today for the advice. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.